Tune in, join us.
Identify yourself.
With a bomb.
On the edge.
Literally.
It helps me get my groove on.
Come on. The music. Rock.
Listen up, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Boom Radio.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to your Boom Radio NG, reaching you live from beautiful, sunny Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you at the moment? What are you doing? Whatever it is, make sure it's a good thing, because what you do is coming back to you. I can tell you that for free. And just like I mentioned earlier, we were expecting some of our guys to come through. You've heard them before on the show. They were here on the station. And when you're talking about an amazing bunch of Nigerians doing good things and protecting the future today, these are the guys that we are referring to. While people are being referred to as violent and lazy, nah, you can't call these ones that one. Lie forever and ever and ever. Amen. But of course, I'm not alone. The man is here, the man with the master plan himself. The tallest broadcaster in Lagos, Nigeria. Nobody comes close. Take a look at the screen right now, and who is the tallest guy in the studio? You know, when we talk about height and broadcasting, it has to be the one and only Yomi. Something Kunle. Should I put the
please.
Chair Kunle, Abi Egba Kunle, Owo Kunle.
My father.
Owo Kunle. Okay, Owo Kunle. So why are you saying no? Of course, it's Yomi Opakunle.
I'm glad to be here. Good morning, the world. Good morning, Nigeria, especially, and good morning, Lagos, super, especially. I'm glad to be here, and the intro is succinct and it's just apt. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be in the midst of this wonderful youth, and they represent the ideal youth we want for our nation, and they dot the nooks and crannies of this nation. It's just that we're not spotting them. Once we spotted these ones, we say we're going to use them because they are catalysts for what we want to do. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to discuss the feedback they have for us of the promises they made to you all that they were going to go deliver for the youth of Nigeria using the Lagos Central Senatorial District as their own focal point. Exactly.
Of course. So without further ado, let us start from the person who's coming to the studio for the first time. You guys will have to swing the microphone between yourselves, or maybe come closer to it so that they can hear you. They can see you already. Yeah, fine boy. We know. So, don't be oppressing us.
That's Shola for you. That's Shola just for me.
You know, already you got your guys shouting out. There's Nasif Sanusi, and he says, "Good morning, Boom Radio." That's how he wrote it exactly.
Thank you.
I even reduced some of the you know. So of course, coming straight up to the microphone, without further ado, is the LOC chairman. In sports, we call them local organizing committee, but in his own case, it's LOC, MOC, and all the C's. When I'm talking about the committee that actually worked behind the scenes to make things happen, you functioned as like the project manager slash, chairman of the organizing committee, and his name is Victor Olaleye. So Victor Olaleye, say a quick hello to your people out there.
Hello everyone, hello Lagos, hello Nigeria, hello world. It's Victor Olaleye. Thank you very much.
Alright, that's a shout out for Victor. Now he can leave, he's done. We're done with it.
Yeah, for
but of course, for him to go out of the studio, he has to go past this man, and this one is number 5. You can't go past him. It's 5 and 6 all in one, and making a return, an amazing human being. if the people that you come across for a short period and they leave an impression on you, the people whom you see and say, oh yeah, this one is going somewhere. This man here in front of me falls into that category. Abudulmumin, you know, it's a lovely name. Edidi, you know, that's his name, and I like to keep it simple. But if we were in an alternative universe where people understood that this is more or less a senator sitting in front of me, and if you do not have such ambitions, this video will be online forever, and it will be recalled that we said it, and
to remain in the global space.
This man right here is going to be a part of that, you know, group of people who will shape the future of Nigeria, alongside Victor, of course. I do not downplay your importance in any way, so please do not misconstrue. So right here, right now, Mr. Abudulmumin Edidi.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, global space. My name is Abudulmumin Edidi, and I'm happy to be here with you all again.
Of course, Abudulmumin Edidi is the youth representative of Lagos Central Senatorial District of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, which many people don't know exists but exists, and also the chairman, House Ad Hoc Committee on Drugs and Substance Abuse Control for Nigeria Youth Parliament. We're glad to have you, and we're glad to have you on a return mission, because you came here and you gave promises that we thought were tall. Like you said, I'm tall, you know, in the reverse order, but yours was in the, you know, real order. You know, you are not as brief as I am. Considers me very brief, and it does things to make me know that I can be tall. But you make tall promises here, and we'd like to have you come tell us how it went. So, of course, Shola Rogers, the man who also was Puglies, the announcer, and boxing aficionado, will bring you in on this journey the way he loves to. We are not doing sports now, but he loves to do it, and I love it. And if you see him, you know that this is a super heavyweight champion now, you know, of our station. Not heavyweight, to super heavyweight. Against Shakosi. We're always careful.
I'm sure you guys have noticed one thing. We're testing ourselves stylishly, you know. On air, I'm happy. In journalism, we're unfortunately, Yomi is my guy. When we leave studio, I'll go adjust, you know. So basically, let's have you speak. Let's hear from you guys. Let us pick up from where we stopped the last time. The last time you were here, you talked about an event to commemorate the World
International
Day Against Drugs
and illicit trafficking.
Yeah, that's and you know it was something that I don't know who laid it on your mind, but it was something that you guys decided to work together to achieve, and you went to a group of people who needed it the most. You know, the younger ones who are very impressionable. As we speak now, there's a scourge in our educational system, and I'm not afraid to say it as it is. Cultism has found its way into primary school, not even university or secondary. Before it was secondary school and we were complaining, but primary school kids now, I'm sure you guys have heard, you know. So you went to those kind of people. You went to the primary and secondary school kids, you know, to tell them about drugs and how they shouldn't, you know, be using drugs, because a lot of times the teachers can't do everything by themselves, the parents can't do everything by themselves. So how did it all work out?
You know,
how did the plans go?
You know, it struck us when they came with the program they said they wanted to do, apart from talking about this thing generally. And you remember it was when he hit at the fact that they didn't want people to come and deliver lecture. However, experts oriented they are, that they wanted the kids themselves to resensitize themselves. They just want to awaken them and let them have an inter-school debate.
Exactly.
Meaning they will go and research, they will come and deliver amongst themselves, and then it resonates and leaves, like you said, impression in their mind for a long time. and we caught the bug and we were looking at it, really interesting. We know the pace, but But so how did it go?
Okay, so thank you very much for having us once again. I think it basically showcased the quality of students we have in our public secondary schools in Lagos. I think those kids were very amazing, both the junior school and the senior school. I recall a very young boy, I think he's a GS2 student in one of those schools, along Etiosa, because the events brought across students from every part of the constituency that I represent, Lagos Central. There are 13 LGAs and LCDAs altogether, 5 LGAs, and then we have the 8 LCDAs.
Can you quickly give us the 5 local governments that make up your constituency?
Okay, so first we have Apapa and Apapa Igomu LCD, Apapa local government, Apapa Igomu. We have Etiosa local government, we have Etiosa East LCDA, Ikoyi Obalende LCDA, Iru Victoria Island LCDA. We have Lagos Island local government, Lagos Island East LCDA. We have Surulere local government, Kokabuda LCDA, Itire Kate LCDA, and then we have Lagos Mainland local government and Yaba LCDA.
Wow.
So
Covered all this.
That's massive.
Awesome. It's massive.
That's massive.
Massive.
And you guys were able to reach out to schools across. You did not concentrate on one side of the senatorial district.
at all.
There was a spread.
Yes.
Victor,
So how did you achieve that?
Victor, there was a spread.
Yes, there was a spread.
All right. This is what we'll do. Anytime you need to speak, just pull the microphone
Pull
towards
it.
you.
You are free
And you
to
can
pull it.
move your chair closer to him. Don't worry.
Okay.
And you guys came in the same car, so there's no issues. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
All right. So over to you.
So you can drag the mic again. Just
Yes.
put it in the middle, yeah, to yourself. Because today is not speaking now.
All right. So how did you guys achieve the spread? Like the map is already set for you anyway, but how were you able to reach out to schools? What was the modus that you deployed to invite or pick the schools?
Okay, it was really a challenging task, and I really appreciate Honorable Abudulmumin for giving me the opportunity to work alongside some vibrant youths in the constituency and Lagos State. So one of the things we did was that we reached out to the district, Lagos State district, and we also commend the Ministry of Education for their support, their advice, and we reached out to them and they met with these schools in order to ease the processes of the program.
That's fantastic. So there was support from government in the area of networking the schools.
Yes, so I'll put it this way. I also like to add that apart from the Lagos State public schools that we had, we also have federal government schools under the constituency. So we also ensure to include them because these are all public schools, whether federal or state. So we included schools like King's College, Queen's College, and Federal Science and Technical College, Yaba. And all these schools were really amazing. I remember the Queen's College girls, both the senior and the junior, they dusted the first round, both parts qualified for the finals. So it was really amazing. And just like Victor said, we reached out to the Lagos State Ministry of Education. Of course, we needed an approval from the ministry. So the ministry gave us approval, gave us the terms and conditions, very tough terms and conditions. But then we moved on to the districts. So the districts that are under Lagos Central are basically District 4 and District 3. Education District 4 is at Sabo, Education District 3 at Ikoyi, Falomo. So we reached out to them through the Office of Co-Curricular Services. Very amazing mothers and women there. I was really impressed when I saw the structure in Lagos State's Ministry of Education. I was like, really? And then I can say that they are positioned for the success of these students and these kids. The co-curricular services experts, I would call them experts, they came to the event to also monitor what we were doing, and they saw that, okay, we were on track with what we were doing. So it was very, very impressive.
So apart from them facilitating the connections, they actually were there physically again.
Yes, they were.
Okay, did you also have, did you thinking futuristically also looked at these kids in the secondary school, junior and senior, migrating to the next level of youth cadre And did you therefore contact Ministry of Youth Development?
Yes, of course. Ministry of Youth Development is our mother ministry. I really cannot do anything without the Ministry of Youth being involved, be it federal.
Because you have to start
state.
from them
Yes.
first to reach out
Yes,
to.
of course. So the Ministry of Youth was very much involved. They were physically present at the event as well as the Ministry of Health. The SSA to the Governor on Health, Dr. Orelu Afini, was physically present. They representing the Commissioner for Health, Professor Abayomi. So I think it was a very interesting makeup for us. It was a very interesting, and of course the media support was massive for us. We had LTV, we had Plus TV, we had Radio Lagos, Eko FM, Traffic Radio, and we also had Business Day newspaper. So it
And
was
you had
very,
us.
Yes, and Boom Radio. Boom Radio basically laid the platform for everything, because when we wanted to start the event, Boom Radio came first, came through, and helped us put the information out there. And I want to believe that made the impact on everything that followed through.
Now, Victor, you were the chairman, planning committee. So looking back now, what was it like? The planning itself, before we come to the event, the planning, is beyond invitation now. The planning, all other things. What was it like?
Okay, it was an equivalent tax because I do 9 to 5. So also the synergy of people who also made up the committee are also very busy people. So we had to look for how we could schedule time to meet, talk online. Most of us even met on the program day for the first time.
Wow.
So
you planned together online before the day.
Yes.
So the value of technology is awesome.
Very awesome. So
so COVID brought disruption, positive disruption to how we run things now, Abi?
I think so.
Fantastic, and the youth have caught bug. I'm glad. Even old people like us, we had to catch the bug. Joining the Shola Rogers of this world, who we thought were, we thought they were too busy before. But when COVID came, we realized that we have to catch up. So how was it?
It was really great, and I will commend on Abudulmumin because he's someone who knows how to. He has these people around him that perceive the kind of vision he has and can work with him with it. And because it's made it very easy. We meet at night and online to talk, and he doesn't let me rest. So I commend him for that.
Sorry, before he compliments it. So all of you that sacrifice, Abudulmumin, Edidi, who's the visionary, who's the youth rep, and blah blah blah, whatever, driving people. He was also dashing you people money to work.
Absolutely not.
But all of you fell in line.
Yes.
Because you saw. So youth of this nation can actually do things if properly motivated. Is that it?
I believe.
Good. So today now, let's hear. Yeah, they're hearing for the first time that he also Tunde. I call him Tunde more than Abdul.
Yes, so yes, that's very correct. I like to appreciate all the amazing young people that worked on this project. Even when we had the main planning committee on ground, I think there were about 7 of them. I remember I had to reshuffle that committee a number of times. I had to put off some people that were dormant because they were affecting the psyche of the other people. So we had to make sure that everyone on the team were really amazing. And then we also had people from other committees. We have so many committees in the constituency who came in to support that committee to deliver on this task. And I must say that I'm very proud and grateful to all of them for buying into the idea and what we have. I
want to mention some of them?
Yes, I would. I also like to mention the fact that when people see some of our posts, they see Office of the Representative Lagos Central. People think I have a physical office for this. I do not have a physical office. Wow. Everything is virtual.
Fantastic.
Everything is virtual. Fantastic. And it's important to mention that technology has made that possible. I mean, I have some of my colleagues who have physical offices in their constituencies. But when I look at the cost of running an office in Lagos, I think it's just so unnecessary for us to have a physical office. Everyone is busy. I can't afford to say, okay, you leave your 9 to 5 and come and sit here. I mean, there's no allocation
because
for that.
People are volunteers.
Yes. So they also have to do other things. Everyone I work with are volunteers. And
so there's volunteering spirit among the youth of Nigeria.
of course there is.
Believe
And
in Nigerians.
sometimes I have to push myself to say I need to do something for these people even when I can't do it. And then they're like, don't worry, we are fine and all of that. Some people had to wake up as early as 4 a.m.
Wow.
Because so the way the event was structured is we have 2 education districts. We had to make sure we were responsible for mobilizing all these students down to the venue. So
That's the logistics.
the logistics. So we had to get buses. We got 3 buses. We had a Marco Polo bus for those from Surulere axis, that's District 4. Those from District 3, we had to get coastal buses, majorly because of those coming from Aja. The traffic there was always, I don't know what to call it. So the traffic was always very terrible.
But it did not dissuade you people from getting what you wanted to do.
Yes,
done.
Since we already understood the terrain, so we just splitted the buses into 2. One coastal bus for those coming from Aja. So the bus went to Badore Model College first, picked up those ones, resettlement. We had someone follow through. She woke up as early as 4 a.m. because they had to
make it
be
possible.
there at 5. If anything less than 5, they will, even leaving by 5, they didn't get to that place until after 9.
From Aja
From
to Lagos Island.
That's how terrible the traffic, and they had to pick up other kids from the race. So I must commend the principal of Badore Model College, Senior Model College. I mean, the second round, she didn't want the students to come because of, I had to persuade her, and then she understood the importance of the issue of drug abuse as well. So we are grateful for everyone who worked to make this come true. I'm grateful to my mentor, Mr. Yomi Opakunle, who was always advising, even when I was like, I'm tired, you say, no, you can't. So he was always there for us, and we appreciate everyone.
All right, we are still talking about the event that went down a couple of weeks ago, but something that we are passionate about. A lot of people are hearing us talking about an event, but they will want to also hear us talk about the prevalence of drugs and the abuse of drugs in our community and our society as it concerns the youth. You know, so there's no need to ask that pedestrian question, why did you do this? But we would like to hear stories. If there are any stories that has inspired you guys to want to make sure that nobody falls into that trap, because we all know what it is if you get, caught up in that web. So is there something you would like to say about that?
Okay, I'll want to take us to something that happened just very recently. The very famous and I don't know what to
iconic
musician.
Legendary. Just like you are legends
Chief
on our
Ebenezer
program.
Obi, who lost his son of about 40 years old, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And then he made it point blank that this was an issue relating to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So when we look at someone like that, someone of his pedigree, and he is able to own up, not many influential people are able to own up to what led
They'll rather keep it on the wraps.
Yes, so it tells us the risk and the prevalence of this issue of drugs in our society. I mean,
And it says they are going to start a foundation to pursue the cause for which the young man at the later stage, understood and wanted to pursue.
one of the very important people also particular about this issue is my mentor and the mother of a lot of Lagosians, and Dame Abimbola Fashola. I was still speaking about it, and she's currently not around, but she's very much interested in the project against drug abuse and, of course, other programs that we have. But just telling you that a lot of people, I must commend the chairman and the DG CEO of NDLEA, General Bamarwa. I don't know how to describe that one, but he came on board last year, I think January 2021. And when you look at the massive success of the NDLEA between then and now, it's quite commendable. Very, very commendable. Just recently, they busted a meth lab in Victoria Garden City and a place in Anambra. No one knows. I mean, so the issue of drug abuse is faced into 2. You have the supply and you have the demand. Basic economics. These people supplying these things, most of them do not use these substances. They are business people.
True.
How do you make a business of destroying our country? We should not tolerate that. I mean, it's absurd. So something like this, when we were even before we were inaugurated, when we were still incubating and getting set for our inauguration in the Nigerian Parliament, we were charged with the responsibility of taking this fight against drugs to the youth. And thankfully, we have a speaker who is also a medical doctor that understands the importance of the fight against drug abuse. So all the members of the parliament collectively are concerned about the issue of drug abuse.
Not only in Lagos,
throughout the nation. And the interesting thing is, because of the diversity of the country, Nigeria, every approach is different. The approach for someone in Maiduguri is different from the approach from someone in Asaba. So it's quite different. For me, I'm fortunate to come from an urban area, Lagos Central District. So it makes it easier to deploy modern techniques to addressing these issues. In some cases, it's quite difficult.
So the point you were making at that point that you mentioned, retired General Buba is that he came passionately to NDLEA to pursue visions that are like this, and he wasn't just about nabbing those who are in the supply chain or whatever. He was also doing a lot to support any advocacy around it. Apart from their own direct advocacy, they also were supporting any other advocacy, including the initiative you came up with.
Yes,
are you saying that you sent your representative?
The NDLEA was present at our event. I mean, we met with the zonal commander of Lagos State Zone few weeks before then, and then he was quite impressed with what we were doing, and they were physically present. Wow. And even on the finals, they were there.
Thumbs up,
so
NDLEA.
I'm going to, when you're done with what you're saying,
weeks from now, we are expected to meet with General Buba himself, because at the level of the parliament, as I was saying, we took the fights against drug abuse hands on. And, as a parliament, the first thing we have to do is to develop a policy. And that policy will be launched in a few weeks' time when every formality is concluded. It's called the Nigerian Parliament Drug and Substance Abuse Control Policy Brief 2022. Basically, we took on primary data, secondary data to profile policy recommendations to this issue of drugs. And some of the things that we already noted, they are not new. They are not new really, but from the youth perspective, we are just giving reinforcement to some of these things. Take, for instance, we are proposing the establishment of NDLEA outposts in tertiary institutions across the country.
Buba Mara has been talking about that.
He's been talking about that as well. But we're talking about this as young people reinforces the fact.
True.
So I would like to explain the program we did was for secondary school students.
Yes.
These guys are
both
intermediate
junior
and senior. They are intermediate. Those are the primary. They are primary.
And they are the feeders.
And yes. So if a feeder comes into the intermediate space, there's possibility of we even controlling or rebranding such
before it goes to
into the tertiary institution. But at the level of the tertiary institution, these guys are already liberal. So saying you want to control whatever they do is very difficult. You'll be having to deal with the issues of human rights as well as
so that's why you went into that space, the captive space of
the feeders into the tertiary space. So at that level, once they are already equipped with the knowledge about this, when they get into the tertiary institution, for peer pressure to then influence them into drugs will be quite difficult. So at the level of tertiary institutions, we are proposing establishment of NDLEA outposts, not just to arrest, that's not the primary purpose, but to have facilities that would rehabilitate these guys and also counsel them. A lot of these guys that are embedded in drug abuse are really seeking help. They are seeking help.
Okay, right, you wanted to say something?
Before I say what I wanted to say, I'm going to read a message from Nasef Sanusi. And he says, there's one special thing about ABE. ABE will be Abudulmumin Babatunde Edidi. Yes. So he says there's one special thing about ABE. Is someone who is so patriotic and passionate about making positive impact. Luckily, he is blessed with the kind of personality that associates with him, who the people who are set with him, who always share in his dreams, willing to make sacrifices and go all the way to make things work for that creative, positive impact. Simply put, he likes to leave somewhere better than he met it, and that is a glowing write-up from Nasef Sanusi.
Right.
Thank you.
And then you,
Thank you very much.
and then you told me earlier,
Yeah.
you know, through body language, that we're being followed. This discourse, this dialogue is being followed on Facebook, and it's being followed. You know, you showed me an amazing number about like 10 minutes into the program. I'm like, ooh, really?
Yeah.
So if we're doing that, and the youths are the ones that embrace Facebook more and other platforms like Twitter, and then it means that don't be disillusioned. Keep working at it, because you are actually impacting.
Thank you.
I'd like to come to Victor.
So this is for both of them. Shout out to my friend Honorable Olaleye Victor. I respect your sagacity, bro, and that is still from Nasef Sanusi. Thank you, Nasef. Keep it coming. God bless you. I was going to come to you guys with something as a parent and someone who used to be very young. I am young still, but used to be very young. I am, sir. I understand.
I'm looking at your beard.
Well, it's just tint. You know, I understand that we were growing up in Lagos. Our parents allowed us to go out, to mingle and have friends, and we learned a lot of things. Thank God for the kind of upbringing that we had. You know, we're not saying we're saints, but we were able to learn. You guys are the ones more or less out there now interfacing with younger people, and there are tips that I know you're not a medical person, but it doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. There are things that you have discovered, there are things that you have noticed, and we would like to leave them as tips for the young people who are watching and for their parents, the older ones, the guardians. Because again, I was talking to a friend, I'm sorry I'm digressing I was talking to a friend who was saying some things about his son, and I had to connect with the son because we have a good rapport. And I went back to the guy and said, you're not talking to this guy. The only problem is that you don't know, you think you're talking to him, but you're talking at him. It's two different things. You're not communicating, because communication is a two-way thing. Okay, it could even be a four-way thing, but it has to be talk and talk back. You get? So I'm hoping that you guys can help someone that watches or that is watching now. What are signs to look out for, and what are the things that you guys have noticed is really wrong, and what are the solutions? You know, because it's good for you to start with advocacy, but there are other things, telltale signs, things here and there, that even from what the kids said that day, that you might have even learned something from. You never can tell. So I want us to channel towards that for a couple of seconds, if not minutes.
Okay, the first thing I would like to say is that drugs is not an escape route for you from any of the problems that you have. If you are banking on drugs to escape any of the problems you have, you are basically a coward. So taking drugs to feel wild doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it takes just a stab from someone who is conscious and you are gone, because you are unconscious and that person is conscious. I was watching a clip yesterday of a guy who lit up a smoke. I don't know, maybe it's weed or any of those things there. He was sitting all alone with his radio. I think it's MP or whatever it is beside him. And then someone was recording him from afar. He lit up the smoke, put the first stick in his mouth, the first puff. He just started running away from his own radio. More or less like he saw a spirit. And there was nothing there. So, I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It worsens your case. It doesn't really give you any hope. It doesn't make you better. As a matter of fact, if you are taking any substance just because you want to intimidate another person, you are just a coward, because that person is in his own form and you are the one who has added something to yourself. So it's a no-go area. That's the first thing. The second thing is, do not be afraid to seek help, because there is help. If you have mental health issues, there is help. There are people you can talk to. You just need to own up. Nobody is going to know if you are going through anything if you don't open up to them. But you need to summon the courage to own up to people and seek help. And then again, to those people who are making a business out of this, please stop. if you keep making a business out of this, God forbid you put our country into a situation where even you yourself cannot spend the money you've made from these things. So those would be my own tips.
Okay, so before I ask the question I want to ask, is there a nexus between drug abuse, substance abuse, and the situation we find ourselves in this country regarding insecurity?
Absolutely, and our policy recommendations capture that as well. Bandits, terrorists, unknown gunmen, known gunmen, whatever, even the reckless policemen on the highway, they are all consumers of these substances.
Otherwise, they won't be able to do what they're doing.
Otherwise, they won't be able to do those.
So it's those things that are enabling them.
Exactly.
And so if we can destroy the supply, we can start solving the problem rather than just running around all those things, and the supply is still there of both ammunition and the drug.
Exactly.
That's the point you're making.
Exactly.
Okay, now because of time, and we will come back to some of these things. I know Shola wants us to inform, educate, and in doing it, you see that we entertain too. Those are the three pillars of broadcasting, because we talk at each other, you jive, we do everything, just for people to, they're not like, okay, we're in a classroom. Okay, now I like the two of you to take it one after the other. You can choose to take the junior secondary end, you can take the second, or vice versa. What did you see in the delivery, though it was competitive, in the delivery of those schools? What came out of their preparations and how they faced each other, and at the end, before we'll talk about the winners later, at the end, did you really feel that, things were written for them, or they had this thing in them that they believed in and they were competing against each other's knowledge? So you can take both secondary and junior secondary and secondary, because they are, like you said, different age groups, and they must have come with different orientation, different practical situations.
The first thing I'd like to mention is the topics that were debated.
Fantastic.
We had topics like boys are more likely to abuse drugs than girls. Poverty is the leading cause of drug abuse. Parents are responsible for the increasing rate of drug abuse among the youth. The government is to blame for the increasing rate of drug abuse among students, and a few other topics like that. For the preliminary now, at that level, we had 160 students that were brought together from across the constituency. So we had the chief speaker and the supporting speaker for the debaters, both for the opposing and the proposing teams. And then we had 3 other students who came from their schools to support them, basically to learn and become advocates themselves. So the main aim was that we were able to raise 160 anti-drug advocates in the schools. So I would just like to say this simple thing. The preliminary round, we started around 11 and we didn't end until around 3:30, and no kid was sleeping in the hall. And there was nobody speaking to these kids. They were the ones debating amongst themselves. So I'll just start with that. So maybe Victor can take another point.
Okay, I was really impressed, not just from by the students, also their teachers. The teachers did a very great job. And for the junior secondary, we were thinking we were just going to hear simple arguments, and just they are junior. But we the organizers, we were really educated. We were educated by those students, and I was really, really impressed because I saw the passion in them and how they could talk. Because if I can recall, while I was in secondary school, I couldn't do that. But I was really impressed, and I'm very proud of what we are doing.
Their logical reasoning, their presentation, their confidence level, and their argument and counter-argument. I witnessed a couple of hours there that day, and I was really amazed. Like you said, you spoke about one gentleman, and then something trickled in, and you didn't get back to one young boy, rather. I know I had to go and take a picture. That boy, I'm not too sure he's taller than 3 feet. But he was confident. And then the girls, especially the winning school eventually. I mean, the way they were arguing and the way they were constructing their grammar. They were not reading script. They were just, spontaneously talking. Amazed me. But you were a proponent of the vision. You were also the organizers. You also had the judges. So, I mean, from the vision, you had where you were aiming at. From the delivery at the JSS level, that's where it tapered off. What was your impression? Did you think we are on the right track?
The government should sustain, Lagos State government should sustain investment in the schools. Those kids are the future of our country. The young chap you were talking about, apart from the fact that his team didn't make it to the finals, I had to personally, alongside one of my friends, pharmacist Ayobami, who was also a judge, we had to give the boy cash prize.
Wow.
From our out of our budget, because we needed to encourage. Apart from that, the fact that when he was presenting, there was a shot from our photographer that captured when he was discussing with his other colleagues. I think he was the lead chief speaker for a school, and we saw leadership. The boy should be about this side. I was trying to find this photo, and I saw leadership. The picture where he held the shoulder of one of the guys taller than him and say they were having a conversation. Those are the kind of people we want to see for the future, and we must protect them. We must shape them. We must prevent them from falling into the net of drugs, because when they get into, before they recover, a large part of their lives is lost, which they can make up for. So I think the issue of drugs is very serious.
Yeah.
More serious than we think. And I think a lot of people are paying lip service to it.
Yeah.
Some people in government are paying lip service to it. Perhaps they don't understand how serious this is. The bandits that you see, they don't operate. Nobody, do you know the wind in the north, the way it is when it's harmattan? The dust. Nobody goes into that harmattan with just one or two shirts and then going to attack another person if the person is not already subconscious. So I think we just have to continue our investments in education, continue our investment in young people. Primary reason why I had to do this planning of this initiative is because when I discussed with the rest of the youth in the constituency, I noticed one thing that was common: drugs. And then they also bought into the idea, because if we do not control the issue of drugs, you invest 10 million, 100 million into young people, it will just go without any trace. I remember we made a courtesy visit to one of our leaders recently, and he saw one of the guys who has benefited serially from his empowerment programs. I was wondering how he was able to spot him. When I looked at the guy, I noticed, oh, this guy is involved truly. But we could see that the guy was already taking form and taking shape and looking forward to a brighter life. So this tells us that if we don't control this issue of drugs, then all our investments will be wasted.
I remember that you mentioned in passing that many people in the public space and in the institutions of government are actually playing lip service. Now your initiative was debate, so that did you see in the delivery of the debates, the arguments, did you see that it was just an academic thing, I want to win, or lip service, or did you see believability in all this, even those who did not win?
The passion was top notch. We captured some of those moments and we were able to share them on our social media page. The passion was there from the audience, from the debaters. There was one of the students from the junior category that was talking about, she was listing it, baby oku, I can't even, monkey tail, she listed all the names of all those substances. And I'm like, if these kids already know these things, then definitely it's left to you channeling it to them, knowing that this is wrong and it can lead to your destruction, or this is right for you to stay away from these things.
Rather than pretension that it doesn't exist.
So they know all of these things. They know all of these things.
All right, we're coasting home now. We are getting ready to have the news at 12 o'clock, where we'll be for a few minutes. But as we do that, there are more things that we need to put out before we round up and say our bye-byes. Going forward, for instance, is this a one-off? I know we asked this question before, but seeing the feedback and the things that has happened, is this a one-off? And two, what are you doing about funding?
I'm pausing for a few seconds because I want to challenge our leaders out there. I want to challenge them. Like I said, a lot of people are paying lip service to this issue. I've met with a number of chairmen of the local governments, and I presented the issue of drug abuse to them because it is a grassroots issue. It's not an issue for someone in Abuja to come and solve for you. It is a grassroots issue. They will tell us, oh, drugs, we are concerned, we are this and that.
And that's it.
When I now come to you and tell you, sir, you
this,
cannot
this.
fight drug abuse with knife and bullets. It has to be strategic. We have a policy from the Nigerian Youth Parliament. This is what we want to do. We even go as far as telling them this is the resources we have pulled down from our part. Please do this. That's when they just go mute and then you don't hear anything from them. So the issue of sustainability, as much as I want to sustain it, my tenure as representative for Lagos Central is 2 years. I'm hoping that whoever comes on after can do more than we are doing currently. But then the sustainability lies on the support from the leaders. We are young people ourselves. I had a meeting with youth from across the constituency over the weekend, and I told them, I said, young people in Africa are we are positioned to always seek survival. We are always on the way to survive, also. But then, despite the fact that we are hustling, we must not forget our responsibility to our community, because you might go out hustling one day and you do not find a community to return back to because you have not paid attention to it. So as much as we want to also condition to survive, responsibility of developing the community also rests on us.
I want to do a bit of some what we call call response in this because of time. So where did you use? Which venue did you use?
Onikon Youth Center.
Was it the youth ministry that gave it to you? Or
yes,
you had to
it's directly under the Ministry of Youth.
Would it have been the ideal place you wanted, or you would have loved a better place if there was sponsor?
Yes, we would have loved a better place if there was sponsorship, and we will have. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, we need to come do this in their local government." But I'm like, I'm not going to move an inch if you do not provide the necessary resources.
Okay. So who won? Junior level?
The junior level, state junior secondary school, Surulere.
In your opinion, deserving, or the judges were biased?
Those kids won the overall best.
The senior, who won?
Kingado Senior High School, Lagos Island.
Also, what do you say about your judges?
They were young people, amazing guys, both here in Nigeria and globally, and they are absolutely amazing. In
your opinion, did the media at least reasonably support you, and would you need more?
Yes, we are very glad
Boom
for the
being
support.
the pivotal thing.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course. We started this conversation on Boom Radio, and then every other media house, the LTV, Radio Lagos, Plus TV, they all came to support.
Traffic Radio,
True. And Business Day newspaper.
Fantastic. Shola?
All right, parting shots from Victor Olaleye.
Okay, I want to just make it known to the young people that we have our role to play in the development of the country. We need to contribute our quota and we need to just contribute everything we can to have a better Nigeria. We don't have any other country.
Okay, and parting shots from the Honorable himself.
Well, I want young people out there to look forward to a lot of things to come. There are a lot of opportunities from the government, so we don't really need to be pessimistic about these things. We just need to be deliberate, look out for these opportunities. They are not enough, but the ones that are available, let's take good use of them and then look forward to more things.
The last thing I'd like to ask you in a minute is this. We see that this is drug thing we tackled, but there are many more issues. Are you available, you and your team at least, even if you can't have the whole of the state, to be resource people on topical areas if Boom wants you to come? And if media houses want you to come talk around it?
Definitely. I'm going to have a talk tomorrow in a church. We're invited to give a talk.
And you're Muslim, that I know very well.
Yes,
so it's about the cause.
I really do not put religion in anything that I do. So we are always available to give a talk. The planning committee. What we are doing in Lagos Central is not about me. It's about the youth, and we are raising so many leaders out there. So they are all available to do amazing things.
All right, thank you very much. This is where we were the anchor. The news is coming up in about 60 seconds or thereabout. Olaleye Balogun is on standby. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We really do appreciate you guys. This is not the end. This is just the beginning of the conversation. God bless you. Don't go nowhere.